Good afternoon. Like you said, I'm a Brazilian. I traveled 27 hours to come here. And I looked for the other presentations, and the people said my whole presentation. So I come here to say hello and come back. No, I'm kidding. So I wrote 2 articles for PenTest Magazine soon. So how to assess industry and energy infrastructure. So this is a little bit different. So if you are interested, I have these articles on my LinkedIn profile. So go there. And it's in Portuguese and English, both. So Munio Security, it's our company, but we have this statement. Munio Security protects against operational disruptions caused by cyber threats, malicious insider, and human error. So the most problems that we have is human error. And what can I help them? Provide them visibility and control for the industrial networks. So this study for Gartner, it's a little bit old for technology. It's from 2016 by 2015, talking about IT budgets until 2020. And they said, this study said the IT budgets will change it from prevention to detection and response. So, and like this study said, prevention is not enough. This is for IT. But if we're looking for OT networks, this is really true for OT networks. Why this? Because we can't put too much prevention systems in the OT networks. So the correct is detection and response tools and procedures. How does our IACS networks look like? Look like this. This is an example for a Purdue model, or ISA 95. We have some layers from business and supervisories and field, and divided by layers. So I talk all the time, not 100%, but the most problems, security problems, begins in the design. In general, the OT networks, the people just think about connect. Okay, I ping this IP, that's okay. They do not think nothing about security. So we have these scenarios, these protocols. IT protocols and OT protocols. And these OT protocols is data plane protocols. We have control plane protocols, vendors protocols, any protocols for OT. And OT protocols in general are SNMP, but this is not management. SNMP is security is not my problem, because these protocols are not designed by security. If you said like Modbus, for example, there was serial, and in the future put some on the OSI stack, put some networks and no security. So when you look for visibility for IT network, you look just IT protocols. But when you look for OT network, you look IT and OT protocols. So that's a problem. Our example is to see how to assess hydroelectric. Well, hydroelectric works like that. We'll have a turbine, we have a generator, and turbine spins, and generator sends energy to a substation. And this is the problem for the hydroelectrical, because we have to protect the hydroelectrical and the substation. And for this reason, we have a lot of protocols to look. Because when we're talking about hydroelectrical, we're talking about a PLC, and Modbus and ProfNet or something like that. And when we're talking about a substation, we're talking about RTU, using Goose protocol, for example, or others protocols. And in general, HTTP, FTP, a lot of protocols. A lot of protocols to have visibility. When we look for the whole electric power distribution, we have more things to access. For example, generation, transmission, and distribution. Whoa. Why I'm talking about this? Because access to hydroelectrical, for example, is really hard. Making an assessment in the substation is another problem. Because we have different protocols. For example, here, different systems. An OT using IACS 104 and other protocols. Just for introduce, because we have a lot of assets, protocols, and networks. Electricity is the core of the critical infrastructure. Think about it. Sometimes we have an infrastructure, critical infrastructure that's using energy, but generate energy too. And we have hydroelectrical, thermal, nuclear, any kinds of types of electricity. This map is the map of Brazil. Brazil energy in the whole country. All connected. I think that, I don't know nothing about Russia or in America, but I think that's the same. All are connected. So if you have a problem in one hydroelectrical or in one substation, in the middle or in the end, we will have a collapse in the whole system. And when you make an assessment, a small assessment, in a small substation in Brazil, you see a lot of vulnerabilities, a lot of problems, and no visibility for nothing. In theory, IT networks look like this image, and in theory, OT or ICS networks looks like this. Okay, in theory. That's our job. Industrial networks look like, often like this. You're looking for the network and the more I'm looking here. In general, 9%, a little bit more. Okay, the problem is lack of visibility. We don't have visibility. Because we can't put so much, for example, in a substation. A Goose protocol is a very, very sensible protocol. 6 milliseconds or a little bit more, you can stop the protocol. If you stop a Goose protocol, you have a problem in your substation. So put a firewall inside the substation, put some other product, will be the problem. So, in general, we have some process, but we can't look for the network and devices. So the challenger is look for the whole network. and the devices. They'll talk about asset management. It's really important. Patrick talked about risk management. It's really important too. More than put some technologies to do this automatically for you. It's understand each asset, how each asset is important for the business, for the network. Without visibility, you can't have security. I love to visit countries that people have home without walls, because in Brazil, this is not possible. This is funny, but it's true. Because this is really good. In Brazil, when we would like to have security in our home, we put some walls, cameras. Why? Because the wall protect my home, and the cameras will show me what the thief or other thing will do. He will jump this part of the wall or other part. Okay, the bad guys in Brazil are looking for the camera right now, and hello, I'm going to your home. No problem. But I know he jumped from the front. I will improve my wall right now. So visibility is really good. So if I'm looking for the camera for my home right now, and the guy is trying to jump the wall, I will call the police right now. Visibility is really important. Cyber attacks may paralyze digital power infrastructure. Remember, electricity is very important for critical infrastructure. Eugene talked about black energy, but black energy for Ukraine was in 2015. In 2016, we had a malware more automatically called Industroyer. So we have more improved malwares for these scenarios. So, in resume, we created a continuous process. So, first of all, understand what needs to be protected. Make asset management. And second, continuous monitor access and changes. I will be an example for you. Last year in Brazil, a critical infrastructure exploded. That was terrible for that company. For lucky, no death. What's the cause? They don't know. What's the lesson learned? They don't know too. Why? Because they don't have visibility. 1 year after, 3 months ago, they found the problem. The problem was the POC. The POC stops and they lose the control. Okay. The POC stops. What's happening with the POC? Lose energy, malware, cyber attack. They don't know. So they don't know nothing about the problem. $30 million loses. That's really interesting. So if your POCs stop right now, you have to know it. If someone changed one tag in your POC, you have to know right now, not one year ago, later. 2, continuous monitoring access and changes. Assets risk to device and network. Like Patrick said, risk management. I have a company in Brazil. They said to me, I know I have a lot of assets vulnerable. Okay, let's update some. They have 89 Windows NT. Believe me, Windows NT. The last time that I saw Windows NT was 20 years ago. And I say, okay, let's update it. No, we can't. So let's create an incident response plan and working this plan, running until the end. And the end, we'll using the incident plan. So they accepted the risk because this risk is important. Because updated the systems in the Windows NT was $4 million, probably 20 times expensive. And fourth, an OT-SOC. An OT-SOC is really different than IT-SOC because if I found someone trying to changing a tag on a PLC, if a level 1 SOC, analyst level 1, see this issue, if they never saw a PLC in his life, they don't know nothing. If I put an IT guy on the SOC to understand this problem, they cannot understand nothing. So, let's show these 4 steps in general. Define the protection surface or the compliance. For energy in America, we have the NERC. But in Brazil, in Latin America in general, we don't have any regulations, any kind of regulation. Some countries like Colombia, like Argentina, are creating the national regulation, but Brazil, probably in 1 year, I don't know, I believe. But we have the ISA 62443. That's a good regulation, a good standard, in my opinion. But this is not a standard for energy. This is a standard for manufacturing. This is the 62443. So because I'm talking about this, because I have to make an assessment for the company or the plant for technology, but the process too. The process is really important. I don't know here, but in Brazil, 100% are afraid for flash drives. 100%. I visited a plant one day, and the guy said to me, I resolved the problem with flash drives. Oh, really? How did you do that? I put glue in the ports for the whole workstation. Come on. No. If you need to reinstall, format your desktop you're using flash drive today, you think about it. Okay, he resolved the problem, but this is an assessment for the standard. This left square is the 62443-2-4. This standard have 12 chapters. And one of these chapters, like that, is SIS. SIS is Safety Industrial System. This is really good for manufacturing, but we don't have SIS in energy. For this reason, I said to you, this standard is good for manufacturing. But this is a really good standard. This is 4 chapters, just 1 chapter. Solution staffing, talking about the persons. Training, how can I train the persons from the plant? The plant, we have a OT cybersecurity policy. Number 2, a pathway inside the control network, or creating a good design. I really like the Purdue model, and Purdue model was created in 1990, and it's a really good for me. Another solution for me is defense in depth. We will talk about in the next slide, and security zones. This one. This is really good for design. Create security zones and conduit zones. So when you create I have a plant and I create a HMI zone. So I know the assets, I know the vulnerabilities, I know the flows, This is really important. Mapping the flows. And I know about this zone. The networks, this zone, talk with parent zones for this, like this example. In the conduits, this is 62443. It's really, really important. But it's really important doing this before create the network. Create this one with the networks running is really hard. I have a customer in Brazil. They talked to me, okay, we'll change this in 11 months. We're doing a stop just one time per year. We updated our systems one time per year. This is an example for zones and conduits. This is another example. There exists a book, not a book, this is a document for the ICS, US ICS. They talk about defense in depth and how do you create a good architecture based in defense in depth. And the defense in depth is to put more prevention systems, but visibility too. 3, asset management. Like Dale said before, it's really important. We are using KICS networks to do this in Brazil. Why? Because automatically, the system discovers whole industrial assets. This is really, really good for me. PLCs, routers, and other systems. This is screenshots from there. Other thing that KICS networks do, I'm talking about just about asset management. Creating a map of communication. Let me see. Yes, this one. One time, customer said to me, okay, I have a hub and spoke architecture. When we look on the KICS network, his network was like a mesh. Whoa, that's not possible. Did you map the flows? Did you protect? You have to do this before. And control, visibility and control. The good way for KICS networks, they do this automatically and show this. The OT-SOC, sorry. The OT-SOC is really important because if you have 2,000 PLCs tag changes this week, you will see this or not. This is normal. I don't know. You have to look at this one. We have OT-SOC in Brazil and Miami. And I'm talking about this one. But kinds of log sources for OT-SOC. I don't know if you've said about the Hydro incident. Not an incident. Hydro really attack they had in March. If you look for the Norway cert, you see the whole attack. And you think about it, oh, I will blocking with the antivirus. No. This malware do not explore vulnerability. They explored a credential. They stolen credentials from Active Directory. And this is really important in OT network. Credentials. I have a credential to enter in my company, so I shall lose this credential. So this is really, really important. Active Directory firewalls, industrial firewalls, networks, SCADA systems. I saw a customer 2 months ago. They had an attack in a PI system for maintenance system. Just for maintenance views. They had a cross-site encryption attack. That's not common. We have to look at proxy servers, layer 7 packets. Oh, in general, a lot of things to look in the OT network. And CN cannot understand nothing about OT assets. If you look, for example, like Dale's KeyRadar or Splunk or other, they cannot understand nothing about PLCs, for example. But Kix networks do this for us. We develop an CN because we live in Brazil. If you don't know nothing about Brazil, I would say, a bad news for you, we have a lot of taxes. So $1,000 in America will be $2,000 in Brazil. So that's really bad. So for this reason, sometimes will be more cheaper develop something for us. So we develop a CN for OT in general. And we connected with Kix networks using the API. So the API is, love the API. So for this, we created a new product. Energy clients, my Kaspersky Kix networks. Our SOC, we created a SOC for energy, especially for energy. This one. And in general, what we do, we recommended cybersecurity policies. We have to create first of all, a cybersecurity policy. But we have more things to do. Zones and conduits, defense in depth, and defense in depth, visibility. The first thing that OT networks have, the first pain is backup and restore. Think about it. A lot of plants don't have backup of the PLC's configurations or the systems. Okay, sometimes have backup, but cannot restore quickly. I visited a plant, they restored a HMI with 7 hours. Backup restore. The second pain, secure and remote access. Many times, many things vendors like to do support remotely. How can we do the remote access? Visibility, let's finish it. Malware protection, monitoring, continual monitoring, in the end, for identity and management. And that's it, guys. Thank you very much.